Welcome to I Hear That Girl. I am super excited for the guest I have today. I'm going to go ahead and introduce her first of all. So we can put some respect on her name. First of all, if you don't know me, I am sorry. Okay, so my name is April D. Bird. I am a contributor for IHearThatGirl.com, and we have a special guest that we are interviewing today. This who we are interviewing today is an amazing person. I cannot say enough. I, first of all, am so honored to just even be able to feature her today. So I would like to introduce Trey Anthony. Trey Anthony, if you do not already know, Trey Anthony is an award-winning writer, producer. She's a coach. She's an author. She wears many hats. Okay, first of all, she is the first Black writer and producer to have a major show on a major network in Canada. And so, yes, there is history there. And also, most recently, she is the author of Black Girl in Love with Herself, which is a phenomenal book. So, welcome, Trey.
Hey, April, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming. I mean, just before all the accolades and before everything, I just know you as, I started my writing career with you as an intern, working with Trey Anthony Productions and like just being around you. Like I know just like the depth and the love, first of all, that you have for Black women and Black girls, like just from the love that you've shown me and being around you has been so inspiring. And I know that you are the type that would just like give you the shirt off of your back because you give me plenty of shirts and plenty of shoes and all those things. So I just know firsthand, I got to experience that firsthand, just how loving you are and how deep your love is, for Black women in the Black community. So thank you so much for just writing the book, first of all. Thank you so much for just being who you are. And first of all, just being here for this interview with us today. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, April. And I'm just gonna just put some stuff out there about you. I'm so proud of you. I feel like a big sister, proud mom.
Yeah.
You have grown so much, and you always are doing your thing, and you are amazing. And I keep watching you, and I'm like, look at her. So I'm very to just witness your progress and your growth and your determination has just been really amazing for me to see. So yeah,
Thank
I
you.
feel like we've come full circle. So this is
Yes, full circle. Yes, like you've been that mentor for me, and I just know that you send me things here and there. You'll continue to be that mentor. So thank you so much. All right, so I'm gonna jump right into it. So first of all, I love the book. I'm reading it, listening to it on Audible. It is everything. It is everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And so like it's a lot. Like people would have to read it to really get the beauty and the depth of it and the power of it. So I'm just gonna start with a few questions that may be able to help people. I know in the beginning, what jumped out at me is you talked about the critical Kathy voice. That voice that we have that's just telling us like you're trash, you need to do better and all this stuff like that. So with that critical Kathy voice, I know you share so much in the book about overcoming and things like that. Like what is one of the ways that you kind of like really overcome and just kind of push that voice to the side?
the biggest thing for me overcoming it was acknowledging that it exists within me,
Mhm.
right? And to find another voice that would combat that. And
Mhm.
so for me, it was really being intentional about saying to myself, if you can listen to critical Kathy, you can also listen to terrific Trey, right? And that was the voice that I sometimes like, no, that actually isn't true about yourself. When the voice was like, oh, you're not working hard enough, or, oh, look at you failed at your relationship. Look at you, everybody's laughing. Then there was that other voice where I was just like, you know what? You failed, but you're not a failure, right? Your
Mhm.
relationship failed, but you're not a failure. You're tired, you're not lazy. and you are feeling overwhelmed because you have overextended yourself. So it was about finding that voice, which was softer and kinder and true to me. And I think as women, we have to really search deep for that, because we don't question the critical voice. But if we start to say we're going to talk nicer to ourselves and be nicer to ourselves, we question that. Do we really need that? And I do believe, especially as Black women, we sincerely need that. Like, we really do need that voice, because I think our biggest critics tend to be ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And so I love that. So look for that voice that is affirming, look for that voice that does present the better option than, just all the criticism and all of that. So yes, thank you. I love that part. And so with that, I actually learned automation from you. So like you mentioned in the book how you started reading the 4 Hour Work Week, and how as an entrepreneur, which all of the hats you wear and stuff like that. I know that there's so much talk about automation in that book and how to scale it down. And you kind of mentioned like you don't quite get it down to 4 hours, but I again, I've witnessed, your stuff, and I've been inspired by it. So what is one way that you have, taken and adopted, that you've made, that you automate your process, that you can get to an entrepreneur?
Yeah, for me, it is about really not multitasking. I really have made it a big commitment to be really laser focused, right? So the hours that I am writing, I am writing. The hours that I am producing, I'm producing. The hours that I'm doing admin stuff and paying bills, I'm doing that. And I find that sometimes we think we're being way more effective when we're doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And to me, it's about being laser focused. And also this thing where what has really worked for me, because I have sometimes a little bit of short attention span. I do this thing where I work for 27 minutes, because 7's my lucky number. So I do 27 minutes and I work solid. I turn off the phone. I don't check social media. I don't do anything. 27 minutes on this one project. Then I stop and I set my clock and my alarm goes off. And then I break for 7 minutes. And in that 7 minutes, I can check social media. I can answer a couple of texts. And then the alarm goes off again. And then I go back again for 27 minutes. And I do this in a series of 5 to 7 periods. And for me, that has been the most effective I am with my time, because I know that there's a reward coming. And I did that also when I was writing this book. Like, I would set aside my day from 10 to 5 solid, but I would break it down in 27-minute increments. And for me, that's the most important thing that you could do. And also, too, when you're an entrepreneur, to also let your family and friends respect your time and your energy. You cannot be the person who your mom is calling or your grandmother who's calling to say, bring me to Walmart or Target, right? During your workday, right? And so you got to set those boundaries with people in your lives, right? Around, I'm actually working. Because a lot of times too, when you're working from home and you're an entrepreneur, people really do not take what you do seriously. I can't tell you how many times I say to my mom, I actually have a job. I have a job, right? Like,
yeah, right.
And I have to remind my mother, because my mother will have a list of things that she wants me to do. And it's kind of like, oh, well, you're free. No, I'm not free. I'm actually working, right?
Yeah.
So that's important as well.
I love that. I love that good old fashioned just focus. Like, just take the time to focus. And that's so hard to do because everything is so automated and everything is on social media and everything. You have so many distractions going on. So yes, just focus and take that time. I love that. And so you brought up a good point right there. When I was reading the book, and I'm like, I'm experiencing this now. Now that I'm in this world of, film and television and stuff like that, you actually brought up like a valid point, like being a writer, right? That you're a writer. You brought up like, how you kind of felt guilty because, you have other people out here and they're working like jobs and like, real jobs.
Quote,
And,
quote, real jobs.
you being a writer.
Real jobs. Yes.
Yeah, it's like almost like, how could you make this much money and you're just doing this creative thing that you love? And so like I kind of sympathize with that guilt because I just worked on a project and that check was looking like real good. I'm like, what?
Good for you,
And
girl.
so, like, when you said that, I really kind of sympathize. I really related to that. And so, and now, you've had so much success as a writer, and I know you will continue to have the success. How do you kind of like, because I know you even said this once at a workshop, you like, stated, I'm a writer, and be proud about it. So how do you, kind of find that motivation to stand strong in your craft as an entrepreneur, as a writer, you know?
I think it comes from when you start to respect your work, right? And when you start to put value on yourself and your time. I think for me, especially, and I'm sure other people can relate when you're creative, my family put a lot of value on education, right? A lot of value. And so my sister and brother are very high achievers. My sister has a PhD in math that she got at 27. And I used to always compare myself because I'm the person who dropped out of university in my third year. And I used to always feel that my family put much more value on her and what she did than what I did. Because my mother used to always call it, oh, there she is prancing around on stage, right? And I remember going to my sister's graduation with my grandmother. And this was after I had my own TV show in Canada, after I'd been making six figures. And my grandmother turned around to me and she said, when are you going to go back to school and get a job? And I was like, right? And this was at my sister's graduation. And so I was just like, you know what? No, I have to start valuing what I do and be very proud of myself and what I've been able to achieve with quote unquote not a university degree. And there's so many of us who don't have the university degrees who have done really well, like the Oprah Winfrey's, the Bill Gates. I can name so many. And so for me, it's been about taking pride. Like before, I used to be like, when people say, oh, what did you do? I'd be like, oh, I'm just a writer. And I stopped that, just a writer. Right? I'm like, I'm an award-winning writer. Or, I run my own production company. I've run a successful company for 20 years. I've been self-employed. I employ other Black women, and taking pride in that and knowing that it's an accomplishment. Not many people can say that they do what they love and they love what they do. And that is one of the things that I'm so proud of in my life, that everything that I have signed up for or worked on is something that I've been committed about doing and believing that I'm walking in my purpose. So if I'm walking in my purpose, I need to be proud of that. And so that is how I now have just shifted that mentality of maybe people may not value me as a writer versus someone who has a PhD, but I value me and I value my time. And I know what I've contributed to the world. And I think especially now in this pandemic, we have seen how much people have relied on creatives to entertain them, keep them sane. And there's been a new respect, I feel, for people who are in the entertainment and creative business, because that's what's been keeping us afloat right now, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. And then on top of that, with your hats, you are also a new mother, you're a mother. Um,
Yes.
and so what can you share? Like, what has been one of your biggest lessons as a mother, and also as an adoptive mother? Like, what has been like one of your major lessons now?
One of my biggest learning lessons was I was a really great mother until I became a mother. Right? So I thought I knew so much about motherhood. I used to be like looking at other mothers and being like, I will never do that with my kid. I would do this and that, so much judgment. And now I'm just like, dear God, it has knocked me down, spun me around, buried me on top. It is definitely one of the hardest jobs, right? And going back to what I said in the beginning of the interview, again, it's that critical Kathy voice that makes you compare yourself to all other mothers and all other women. Like there's a woman who I follow sometimes on Instagram who has twins. And she's there every single day. She's doing some different kind of activity. She's baking. She's taking them to the park. They're building stuff. And I can barely find a pair of socks to put on my socks. And I had to just stop comparing myself and going, I don't know how she does it, but there she is. But I was like, that's not me. And I'm not going to compare myself. And so what I do, again, is this affirmation of affirming. Like I affirm and I say, Trey, you're a good mother. Your son is happy. He's a joy. You are doing the best that you can. And maybe you can't find a pair of matching socks for him, but that doesn't make you a bad mom, right? And it's just really having a sense of humor. Like my son has definitely been one of my biggest learning lessons. And he's made me slow down, appreciate every single moment, and also have a sense of humor, a bigger sense of humor, because he's this little boy who just brings me so much joy, but also just drives me nuts, right? So it's about finding that balance and also knowing that you always have another day to reinvent yourself and be a bit better. And I try at least every other day to get a little bit better at this mothering thing, but it's hard. It definitely is a hard job. And I will big respect to women who are doing it solo by themselves, like myself. Big respect to those who did it more than once. Like I turned to my sister the other day and I was like, who wants to do this again? Like, I just don't get who would want to have another kid, because it's a lot of work. And so I have a big respect now for women who have 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know how you guys do it, because I am barely keeping afloat with one. Yeah.
Gotcha. Got you. Like I totally get it. Like you cannot compare yourself, and that judgment goes hard. I want to make sure this interview is good. I hear kind of like some static noise. I'm gonna see if I can grab some headphones and see if that static kind of goes away. So bear with me 1 minute. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Good.
Hopefully that crunchiness goes away. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, because I can hear it.
You can hear it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Put this in my ear. Okay. All righty. All right, just had to put that on. Okay, so I love that with your learning lesson about your baby and everything. Kai, I love it. He is such a cute guy.
Thank you.
Okay, and so through the book, there's this reoccurring theme, and the whole book is amazing for Black women about not self-sacrificing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this quote, and it says, you do not have to, set yourself on fire in order to keep others warm. And I think as Black women, we do this self-sacrificing thing so much, and we've learned to do it because, like Sister Lee Tyson, our rest in peace, said, we are like that last rung on that ladder that, it's like everybody is up there, like we're that one. So with this whole self-sacrificing, and it's interesting that you brought up about, you always being there for other people. And you realizing that you don't know who exactly that you could go to, who exactly will be there for you. So how have you kind of gauged, like, who you're able to lay in and who would really be there for you?
It's like I mentioned in the book, Black Girl in Love with Herself. It's when you're in your moments of need, you need to really look around who's going to be there for you and show up for you. Oprah Winfrey has an amazing quote that I put in the book as well about everybody wants to ride in the limo, but you got to look about who's going to be there when the limo breaks down. And I find even with myself being in the public eye and being, the person who's been invited to red carpet events and has press and media and goes to all of these openings and stuff, everybody's down for that. Everyone's around. Everybody's like, oh, get me a ticket. Let me come. But in my darkest moments, I can really count on maybe a handful of people. And I started to really make the distinction between who are friends, who are acquaintances, who are people who I used to go to high school with, who are people that I work with, and not using the word friend for everybody. You have to really make clear distinctions of
Yes.
people in your life, because you get confused. And when you call
Mhm.
everybody friends, you then will feel a lot let down, really let down, when those people who you have labeled as friends do not show up for you. Right.
Right.
So for me, it was about making that distinction, and also knowing that I have a level of expectations in my friendship. And just in the same way that I show up as a friend, I will expect the same back, and to have honest conversations. And also in that, also being very aware of that when your friends offer you support, are you there to take it? Because I'm
Mhm.
also one of those people who've been very guilty of, like, oh, I can handle it. I got this. Don't worry. And so I had to learn, especially when my life blew up in my face and my relationship was ending. I was a new parent. I was, having to move out of an apartment in less than 14 days. Everything that I had known was disappearing. I had to
Mhm.
really learn to humbly take help, and also give and receive love back, and know that it
Mhm.
was okay for people to see me vulnerable. It was okay for people to see me cry. It was okay for me to say, I don't have all of the answers, and be okay with that. And that was something that was very new for me, and something that I just
Mhm.
had to allow myself to do. And it's something that I practice daily, because I sometimes fall back on old behaviors of, oh, I'm the
Mhm.
strong one. I got this. I can handle this, and as Black women, we do that a lot. And it's killing us. It's literally killing us with high blood pressure, hypertension, depression, suicide. All of those things are because so many of us have on this superwoman cape, and we're
Mhm.
friends to everybody except a friend to ourselves.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that part. I love that, that being able to be open. It was so funny how you were talking about Karen and the white girl that was crying on the set and like everybody. And I think like we do need to be that more open and be that more vulnerable. So yes, I love that part. I love that part. And so you mentioned a relationship. And so relationship is a big theme of it. And it's kind of like that's a major theme in the book. So how now do you go into relationships? Because I know you had beautiful relationships. You've had beautiful, long, loving relationships. But how now do you go into a relationship? Is it different? Like a romantic relationship?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Right now, I have taken a break from romantic relationships. I'm doing a lot of healing. I'm doing a lot of work on myself. My biggest romantic relationship right now is this book and touring and interviews. And I realized I don't have the time um, to do what is required of a relationship. And I had to be very honest about that. And I'm also a full-time mom, and so as I am healing, as I'm learning about myself, I'm just affirming that at the right time and at the right moment, the right person will find me, and I will know this
Mhm.
when I see them. But for
Mhm.
now, the biggest relationship I can have is with myself. I'm still very much in the process of healing. This last relationship, as you read in the book, broke me wide open, and it was a lot of hurt. And yeah, it just was not how I usually end things with people. And so because of that, I require a lot more healing and time with myself, and also processing, what did I miss and why did I miss this? And how did I allow certain things to occur in the relationship, because I so wanted this relationship, that I wanted this relationship more than I wanted myself. And so
Mhm.
I'm still doing that work, as I'm still, processing that, and also giving my message and my healing and my lessons to other women. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm just like, I'm on a relationship hiatus.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And so that takes me into my last question because the book is called Black Girl in Love with Herself. And so, how was Black Girl in Love with Herself birthed? Like, how was Black Girl in Love with Herself manifested?
Yeah. For me, it manifested when I found myself on the bathroom floor crying and my whole life blown up in my face. And I was like, what happened here? What went wrong? And how do I no longer recognize my life? How do I no longer recognize the woman who's looking back at me? How come I did not think that I was worthy enough to be able to ask for what I needed emotionally in a relationship, right? And also, my biggest question that I had to ask myself is, when did you give over full permission to someone else to love you and you're not loving yourself? When did this happen? And I was shocked. Like, this was my life. And I had to really take ownership of what I had allowed, what I had attracted, what I failed to see because it wasn't convenient for the image that I wanted the public to see of me. And so for me, it was that moment. And I write about it in the book where I was crying on the floor going, God, I don't want to be like this. I don't think I want to live like this, and help me. And it was like a clear message. What said, get up, talk the things, let your message be your message, and be a Black girl in love with yourself. And for me, that was the biggest lesson, that I cannot give away the job of loving me to someone else. They can contribute to my loving me, but they cannot be the sole owner of loving me. And that was the mistake that I had made, that I was so invested in someone loving me because that made me feel worthy, or me feeling chosen, or someone picking me. And I was like, pick your damn self. Love your damn self, right? So when that person walks out, you don't feel like you're unworthy or you're not lovable, because you already have shown up loving yourself. And I had stopped that. And I didn't know when that happened or how that happened. And that was the work that I had to do in order to write this book and share with other women, that we got to show up first for ourselves before anybody else.
I love it. I love it. And you share that so beautifully as an amazing writer. Your journey. And I also love that you not only give the advice, but inside of the book, you also give prompts. You also give resources. So I really love that. So thank you so much for writing this book. Thank you for just like bringing it all together. Like, to me, like the book just feels like a hug. Like a big hug, and I just love it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for writing it. I love 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 it. So, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the readers? With I Hear That Girl.com readers?
Yeah, I would say to people, please buy the book. Please support it. I love what I've been seeing so far. What I have loved so much, and what my publishers are saying and the bookstores are saying, is that women are not just coming in and buying one book or ordering one book. They're ordering like 5 or 6, and they're giving it to their friends. Moms are reading it with their daughters. School teachers are ordering it for their classes. And that has just been really amazing. Some of the feedback I've gotten is, it's a book that I didn't know that I needed, or this is like the new Black woman Bible, or this is something that we just so needed for us, by us. And so I would really just say, support the book, spread the word. And it's definitely a love letter to Black women from me. And I've done a lot of things in my life around Black women and creativity, but this, I think, is my most honest, most vulnerable, most truest, and most biggest learning lesson that I can give of myself to others. And I truly believe this was inspired by God, that this was the journey that I needed to take in order to allow the women to heal as well.
That part right there. And yes, it is such an amazing book. I have multiple copies, and we are definitely going to give away a copy on IHearThatGirl.com. And yes, it is an amazing book. It is a powerful book. I cannot say enough. Like, people will have to just like go and get the book for yourself. It is an amazing, powerful book. All right, so thank you so much, Trey. I know you're a busy woman. I'm not gonna take up much more of your time. I
Yes, I got
appreciate
another
you.
interview right after this at 1:30. So
Yes, ma'am. All right. Well, you have.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I love you. I love you also. Bye. Bye.